Hi everyone, it's Fiona here from FionaMarks.com, and it's Friday, so I'm back with my weekly update about what's happening at FionaMarks.com with astrology and all the other things that I get involved in. So let me share my screen with you so I can show you what we're going to talk about today. So let's touch on New Year's resolutions because I did record a video last week for the 1st of January, but it was a bit pre-recorded. So it's nice to greet you here with a proper Happy New Year and perhaps hear about your New Year's resolutions or inspire you about your New Year's resolutions. And then in that vein, let's see how the moon might be helping you or not this year. What we're doing here at FionaMarks.com that is supportive for you in 2021. And then we're going to look at mantra and then also Vata balancing, because as you can tell from my attire, it's pretty cold here in Portugal right now. Okay, so do you do New Year's resolutions? It's something that's very popular to think about at this time of year. It's a good chance to take stock of last year, which is what we talked about in the video from last week. And to focus yourself towards what it is that you want to achieve. Now, I've been a life coach for a long time, and I came to life coaching through NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is, a very broad field of study, but quite a central element of that is around goal setting. And when you work with a coach, often one of the things that they help you to do is take what maybe is closer to an aspiration than a goal and really break it down with you to make it realistic and turn it into something from a dream that you can turn into reality. And NLP loves the SMART goal model. So making it specific and measurable, action orientated, time specific. So a coach can really help you break that down, something that is realistic, time specific, actionable. You can measure it and it's specific, not just nebulous. So working with a coach can be a great way to make your goals more effective. But what can astrology do to assist? And what do you get if you work with a coach who's an astrologer? Well, there are many things, even just I brought out one of them to speak with you today, but even as I talk to you now, there's so many ways that an astrologer can fine tune what it is that you're interested in achieving. Because, for example, we just talked about aspirations, and that would be represented by the 11th house in your chart. So it'll be really interesting to see what's in that house. But then there's the 5th house of your own creative legacy and to see what goals are going to come into your life you want to manifest this year that relate to your 5th house. But of course, all the houses could potentially be sources of inspiration for your goals, like goals with your partner, goals with your immediate family, the 2nd house, goals with your travel, although this year, could still be challenging. And so working with astrologer, we can connect the goals that you have to the houses in your chart and see what is affecting those houses in your birth chart and by transit this coming year. So astrologers can really help you get much more specific and nuanced about your goals. But another thing that they can do is think about that Jupiter and Saturn, these big planets, have been together all year in Capricorn, but they've just moved in 2021 into Aquarius. So we just happen to know where they are because they're both together. It's pretty easy to spot them even still right at the sunset in the sky at the moment. But we can think about where are they in relation to your natal moon in your birth chart. And that's because the moon is so wrapped up in our motivation, because the moon is like the things that we feel like doing and that we enjoy doing and that we want to do. It's our natural sense of get up and go because I want to do that. And sure, like me, you have experienced what it's like when you have goals in areas of your life that the moon is not very interested in right now. That then, when it is an area of life where the moon is not getting that support, that it feels motivated, um, one has to work quite hard against like the inertia to actually get something done. So when we think about these two obvious planets, obviously the moon is having a relationship with your natal moon is having a relationship with all of these planets as they transit around the sky. But these big guys are really easy to spot, and it's something that we can maybe conceptualize for this conversation. um, where is it that the moon and Saturn work well, and where is it that the moon and Jupiter work well? So thinking about where your natal moon is, um, you're going to feel motivated to do Saturn type things when Saturn is 3, 6, or 11 houses away from your own natal moon. So now you have to count back to where your moon is and where Aquarius is and work all of that out. But this is really because, Saturn, we kind of have two planets that help us deal with problems in the material world, according to astrology. Mars is that planet that we have for dealing with problems that can be solved, that you nip in the bud, you take action, you cut them down at the knees, whatever it is, Mars can do that for you. Saturn is our planet that we have to deal with problems that can't be solved. You have to put up with them. You have to be resilient and keep putting one foot in front of the other, regardless of these obstacles that come. And so this is why the moon works quite well when Saturn is 3, 6, or 11 houses away, because these houses are considered to be a bit difficult in Vedic astrology. And having Saturn in those positions, the moon feels like, you know what, I can do that. I know it's a big problem. I know it's hard and complicated. And I know I might not finish it this year or ever. But yeah, I'm going to get to that job that I always put off and I don't feel motivated about. So lucky you if Saturn has moved into being in Aquarius, is 3, 6, or 11 houses away from your moon. And then Jupiter also has its places where it works well with the moon, and there's a few more available, and that's natural because Jupiter is a benefic planet, so it's happy to work with the moon a bit more often. So you could look at, in relation to your natal moon, is Aquarius 2 houses away from your natal moon, 5, 7, 9, or 11 houses away? And we feel good about working on those areas of our life because they feel aligned with our purpose. And now we've got the moon, our emotions, tied into it as well. So we just feel like good, we're doing those things that we're called to do. Very good luck in hopefully those placements are supporting you. I happen to notice that the 11th is supported by both there. So I'm taking that to mean that if your moon was in Pisces, you might be getting some good support from Saturn and Jupiter this year. And here at the bottom, I'm also putting, what do you do when it is a year where the moon doesn't feel very motivated because of the way the planets are? And as we said, it has feelings in relation to what the sun's doing, what Mercury's doing, all of them. I'm just bringing up these two big players. But I was reading an interesting article a few weeks ago just saying that how powerful it can be to use the statement, I'll do it anyway. So this is maybe one of those more coach approach rather than astrology approach. Life coach might help you with is that even though I don't feel like it, I'll do it anyway. And how powerful it is. This is when we really start to dominate our energies and our chart, is when we can learn to do it anyway. The doors open because you're no longer being pushed around by the inertia in your own life or your own chart. So maybe regardless of where your moon has, where your planets have gone in relation to your natal moon, perhaps it's very powerful to have this statement, I'll do it anyway. And maybe that brings us nicely to some things that you might have on your New Year's resolutions that perhaps I can support you with. So is a daily meditation practice one of your goals for 2021, or is having a morning practice one of your goals? And if so, perhaps you would like to join me at lunchtime, 12 noon Portuguese time, which is London time, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and actually it's Thursdays. Sorry, there's a typo there. Monday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Or you can do yoga with me in the morning from 6:30 from Tuesday to Friday. And that is half an hour. It's about 15 minutes of some gentle yoga and 15 minutes of meditation. I am, for those who know me well, I am the massage therapist who never gets a massage. I am the yoga teacher who hates going to yoga classes, and I'm the astrologer who never consults her astrology. So I'm saying this because in the morning when we do yoga and at lunchtime when we do meditation, I'm really guided by whoever is here with me at the time, because for me, meditation and yoga are not something that are imposed on top down onto you. There's something that align with what you are connected with in your body mind. So when you come along, I'll be asking how you feel, what's going on with your life, and we'll work that into the yoga or meditation. So don't be put off that it's going to be a very strenuous or intense yoga practice that is imposed on you. But it will be just what's created for that 15 minutes when you come along. So you can access that on my website. Let's have a look here. If you go to fionamarks.com, it looks like this, and you click on services, click here in meditation. And then all of those options come up. You can see on the right-hand side there. You can book in for any of those. Now, another thing that might be on your list of New Year's resolutions is, do you want to learn Vedic astrology in 2021? Is it something that you have an interest in, that you want to know more about? And I came to Vedic astrology very suddenly, and I arrived straight onto the apprenticeship program. But did you know that that is now all online on Teachable? You can access it. For us, it was a 3-year program. You can do it in 2 because it's online. It feeds into your inbox every 8 days. And I'm now tutoring on that program. So you can have one-on-one time with me about your doubts and questions. I'm also assessing papers and homework, and I'm running Q&A sessions. So if you have goals around yoga, meditation, or learning astrology, please reach out. Let me show you how to access that as well. Actually, you can go to the homepage, and here you want to click on astrology. And then you can see that you can book a reading with me, or you can book tutoring. So just choose what's appropriate for you. And the tutoring is all in relation to the Vedic astrology apprenticeship program on teachable.com. And you can go right now and have a look at all the content that's there. Obviously, you can't watch the videos until you're a student, but you can see the preview classes, but you can see the level of content that's in here. And I'll be doing videos over the coming weeks to share more about that. This is an extremely thorough program and really has a well-defined methodology of teaching one layer of complexity at a time. So it's like building a house. You got to get the foundation layer right. And the time that you put into that foundation layer and that planning will pay lots of dividends for the house that you actually create. So it's broken up into these modules that build onto each other one after another, and that the complexity comes once you've got a clear foundation. So yes, if you have New Year's resolutions in relation to those, I would love to help you with that. But perhaps your New Year's resolutions are less defined. And in recent years, I don't do specific goals anymore. For many years, I have used a couple of inspirational poems, which I haven't got to share here with you, but they guide me in where I want to take my life. And I used to be in a group where we would set a word for the year. And from that practice, it's very good to have one word to guide you through the whole year. Um, from that, a few years ago, I decided to give up worrying. I had previously given up complaining. I did that just when before I was leaving Australia. And actually, I did that in a very coachy way with an elastic band that you flick every time you complain, or you swap it from one wrist to the other. And it just brings to your awareness how much we allow the mind to just babble along complaining. And it colors our experience of reality. So it was a great thing to give up. And about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I decided it was time to give up worrying, which is also a mental habit that I don't know, makes you seem like a concerned person. And maybe it's also we can feel like it's an expression of care to worry, but actually it's kind of completely useless, right? It's just a waste of our mental energy. And again, it colors our perception of reality. And of course, it affects the chemicals that we're feeling in our body because of the thoughts that we're having. And I have a dear friend who used to say to me that fear is an acronym for the future events affecting reality. And that's a lot what worrying can be. It's future events that haven't even happened, that we don't know are even going to happen. And we're enlivening them and bringing them in, and they're affecting our reality. So it's a great thought pattern to release and let go of. And I'm continuing with that in 2021. And one of the ways that I do that is when there are times of concern, I use mantras because my mind wants to be busy with something, which would be worrying. So I just begin singing in my mind. Or if I'm alone out loud, a mantra. And I tend just to use two. And one is the Gayatri Mantra, and I use that anytime that I feel indecisive because it's a mantra for discrimination, and it goes through all the sounds in Sanskrit. So it's very cleansing for the mind, for the intellect. So great mantra. And then the other mantra I like to use is the Jaya Mantra, which is great for illness, transition, death, and travel. So I use that when I'm worrying about anybody's health, or if they're coming close to death, which those of you who are close to me know my father's had a very challenging health experience this week. And so I was doing the Mahamitri mantra for him at the start of the week. But what I noticed is that the Lord's Prayer works really well is in connecting with my father, because he's a practicing Catholic. And I remember as a young child going to Catholic church with him on a Sunday morning. So it's very connecting for me. And it serves the same function, just to allow the mind to have something to concentrate on. And with this time of my father being in intensive care and I can't be there, I can't travel there, I really can feel like I'm holding his hand. Even starts with Our Father, who art in heaven. And so it's a lovely way for the mind to connect and do something soothing for the mind that moves one into a positive vibration, rather than just to worry. So if you have goals of the year that are not specific and they're not material, that you want to achieve this experience, or that you want to have that item, perhaps you are more motivated by a poem or a word of the year, or giving up a habit that no longer serves. And perhaps mantras might be a tool for you too. Oh, sorry, it skipped forward and then I skipped it forward too. The final thing to share with you, for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere and for those of us in Portugal, it's a bit cold right now. And in Portugal, it's cold and dry. We've had quite a lot of rain in November, December, but the last week has pretty much been dry. And the thing about dry and cold and windy, as I watch the trees in front of me swaying in the wind, is that it's very aggravating for Vata. That basically because those are Vata qualities. The dry, cold, and movement are all qualities associated with Vata. So when they are present in the environment, they just extra stimulate the Vata that we might already have. So this is a great time to consider Vata balancing, which means that you want to do things that lower Vata in your body mind because you're naturally getting extra Vata from the environment. And simple things that you can think about are really committing to only drinking and eating warm foods at the moment, because the digestive system needs heat to work. If Vata is going out of balance in your system, your digestive system might be getting too cold. And then it's hard to properly process the food and access the nutrients. And then either our food stops moving through the digestive system or it moves too fast through the digestive system. So both ways causing issues. So eating and drinking warm foods. You can think about, last week we talked about ghee. Ghee is such a boon for any of us who are balancing Vata. So you can think about adding ghee to your food or to your drink, as a dear friend of mine does. Another thing to keep in mind is daily oil massage, or oil massage whenever you bathe. I find I put it on after I bathe. It helps absorb into my skin. When it's particularly Vata stimulating out there in the real world, the oil massage is so therapeutic because it creates this little barrier between you and the environment. And you think about like oiling the terminals on the battery in the car, it helps that electricity flow better. And when you think of Vata, it's got that electric, our thought patterns, kind of that dry energy. So the oil massage is very calming, very balancing, calms the nervous system. It's such a simple thing to do. If you want any more information about that, give me a call. I use sesame oil, especially at this time of year. You could even use ghee at this time of year if you wanted to. And if you think about oil, these natural seed oils, what are they? They are the essence from the seed, and the seed has everything that the tree needs to become a tree. It's all contained in that seed. And then the oil that comes out of that seed is like the essence of that. So much intelligence that we can put on the body to create this barrier. And it can really help the nervous system calm down. And then the final Vata tip, there are thousands, but these are my top 3, is to cover your ears when you're outside or anytime you're cold, because that's an organ that's very susceptible to Vata and to the movement of the cold air. So covering your ears can really help. And I guess what the underlying message here is, that it's important to care for your body-mind system in its unique nature. So perhaps you're not a particularly Vata person, and you can breeze through a time like this, and that's great. But if you are someone who gets affected by the cold weather, what Ayurveda is saying is to notice that and to not ignore it or stoically resist it, but to comfort the body at this time, because the body's doing lots of functions for us, like digesting food that needs to be done at the right temperature, but also because Vata is the first energy to go out for anyone. It's the first to go out of balance. And when it really goes out of balance, it takes other body mind types with it. So then the Pitta starts to come out of balance. And while you might see Vata in balance as being, you might notice it as being lightheaded or unmotivated or jumpy or anxious, uncomfortable, unable to relax. When it brings out the Pitta, then, we're going to start getting irritated and snappy and aggressive. So we want to deal with the Vata imbalance when it's a Vata imbalance. So um, yeah, it's not about stiff upper lip or getting through something. It's about noticing what your system needs and acting appropriately. So hopefully all of those things feed into whatever's going on with your new year. I would love to work with you if you are setting goals and you want to see where they lay out on your chart and what support you have. Or if you want to increase your discipline around meditation and yoga, turn it into a more daily practice, or if you want to learn astrology this year, any of those things, I hope you'll reach out and be in touch, and I will see you next Friday. Okay, until then, keep warm, stay well. Okay, bye.